This is weird.
From the land of conjurers, flying through the internet to your device like a UAP, hauntingly unexplained and downright weird. This is the Witching Hours, and we are ready to take off in the flash of an eye. Good evening to one and all, wherever and whenever you are listening to this program. I am Frosty, and joining me, as always, is the medium Jenny Lee. And as you can see, we also have Alyson, the Priestess of Wonderland, with us tonight. How are you both doing this evening?
I am doing better than you guys, I think.
We're hot and tired.
Yeah, hot and tired. Frosty's not so frosty right now. Yeah.
We got a broke AC right now. Sounds like fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like we said, I mean, we're a little lucky right now because the temperatures have been dropping or getting ready to drop definitely in our area. So as we get this taken care of, it could be much worse. So we're just a little sweaty, just a little more sweaty than normal.
Yeah. A little overheated. All right, Hucksters, we're coming there. Huckster says chilly. It's chilly here.
Really there?
Go.
That's good.
Let's go.
All right. Well, let's go over the ground rules a little bit tonight.
Okay.
We were originally going to talk to Colleen McCann tonight, who is an energy stylist, a spiritual stylist, to talk about fashion and kind of how that can connect with spiritualism and magic and all kinds of things there, which I was really interested about. I don't know a lot about the topic. Go figure. My closet full of black shirts
Or Hawaiian shirts.
and camouflage shorts don't probably not going to match exactly the energy style that I need. So we got to find out a lot of information. So not able to come on to the show tonight, but we have rescheduled for November, I think. So we will have Colleen on and we will talk about energy style. But tonight we decided we were going to be doing our moon phase updates soon. So we have Alyson on, and we also are going to do open lines tonight. So if you have a question or would like to just bring up a topic, if you go, I guess you can put it into chat if you would like, Jenny, but we have the StreamYard link in the Witching Hours announcements. If you go in there, there is the link to StreamYard, and you can go backstage and you can come on live to the Witching Hours and be part of the program. We just asked that, I guess we could go like with the Coast to Coast AM rules, which is, come on to ask a question and we'll keep the any kind of cursing or language to a minimum there.
Mm-hmm.
And have clothes on. I mean, that's kind of the two.
Yeah.
That's kind of the two big things that we hope for with open lines is clothes. And even the cursing, if you got clothes on, we can handle the cursing. We'll be okay.
Don't be a jerk. No politics.
Yeah. So if you want to come on and talk about the paranormal, feel free to. There's a link there. You can come in and hang out and say what you want to say or ask whatever question you want to ask or just come say hello. You can also come just say hello. That's fine too.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. So that's the link will be in chat, and it is in our Discord page under the Witching Hours Discord page in the announcements section. So you can feel free to join from there. So thank you for joining us in the Witching Hours. Welcome in everyone. This is your home for the paranormal, supernatural, and unexplained. And if you enjoy our show, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. Even if you watch us live, if there's some platform that you use to watch your podcast, make sure you leave us a review there. And if you're tuning in on YouTube, don't forget to do all the things there, like the subscribe button and clicking the bell and all those wonderful things that you always hear everyone talk about. Because reviews and ratings really do help people find the show, and we can, the more people we have watching, the more cool stuff we can do. So if you like what we do, leave a review and share the podcast with a friend who also loves getting weird. You guys ready to get into some weird news?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Story number 1 tonight. You have an invisible light that vanishes when you die, science confirms. We talked about this a long time ago with something else, but a new study suggests that living creatures, including humans, emit an ultra faint glow of visible light that disappears at the moment of death.
Like an aura?
It's not an aura. Well, this is to the news story, so I don't know. I don't really know if I believe anything that this story says, but not magic and not TikTok wellness trend. It's photons. And science just caught them in the act. Researchers from the University of Calgary and National Research Council of Canada recently published findings in the Journal of Physical Chemistry Letters detailing their investigation into ultra-weak photon emissions, or UPE. These are faint flashes of visible light that living cells release, possibly as a byproduct of stress-related chemical reactions inside the body. To test this, researchers placed 4 live mice, one at a time, into a pitch black imaging chamber. Using high sensitivity cameras, they recorded the low-level biophoton glow for 1 hour. So as you can imagine, not good things were done to the mice, and then they found that they did not emit that light.
No bueno.
The results were striking. After death, the visible light emissions dropped off significantly. The difference in the numbers of these photons was clear, the researcher wrote. Put simply, when life stopped, the glow stopped with it. The phenomenon isn't new, but the whole body measurement is. Previous research has shown that individual tissues can emit photons due to oxidative stress, like when cells are damaged by heat toxins or pathogens. But capturing this across an entire organism and watching it fade as life ends is a major step forward. The same experiment, as we talked about on the show before, was run on leaves. When injured or exposed to chemicals, the plant stressed areas glowed more brightly than their undamaged sections. We had talked about the leaf one on here before. So now
there is an idea in the woo-woo world that light is life.
That light is life.
Light is life. Light is the consciousness. Maybe that's
interesting.
Backing that up. Or maybe
so we have it all the time, and then they only detect it because it stopped glowing when we die.
Yeah, it stops glowing when you die, and it's like a low level. Like it's hard. It's not easy to detect. Ultra weak photon emissions is what they call it.
I think that's a very terrible name.
Photon emissions.
Per usual science community.
Well,
ultra weak.
Photon emissions makes sense. Like, right? Light emissions.
Correct.
And they're saying it's ultra weak because it's hard to detect.
For us.
It's not really strong.
That doesn't mean that it's ultra weak. Maybe.
Well, for Ginny, they're called RSPEs, really strong photon emissions.
I think it might be called auras. I think that's what it's called.
Mysterious object hurling toward us from beyond our solar system appears to be emitting its own light. Maybe those are really strong photon emissions. I don't know. So we've been talking about this. Last time we talked about the headline story of like the idea that, this could be aliens, some kind of extraterrestrial craft coming into our solar system. Avi Loeb, the Harvard professor, is still out there, and they are talking about this object. So last month, astronomers made an exciting discovery, observing an interstellar object, only the third ever observed, hurtling toward the center of our solar system. The object, 3L Atlas, has caught the attention of Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb, who has had a long track record of making controversial predictions about previous interstellar objects. While there's been a growing consensus among astronomers that the latest object is a comet, Loeb has continued to entertain the idea that it may have been sent to us by an intelligent species from outside of the solar system, and he's not backing down. In a blog post over the weekend, he pointed to observations by NASA's Hubble telescope, which showed a glow of light, likely from ahead of the motion of Atlas towards the sun. So they're calling this a coma, is the hazy and luminous cloud that surrounds the nucleus of a comet. However, there's no evidence for a bright tail in the opposite direction, he wrote. Scientists suggesting it was evidence that dust was evaporating from the object's sun-facing side. The observations led him and his colleagues to an intriguing, far-fetched possibility, is that the mysterious space object generating its own light. After deliberations with his colleagues and Harvard astrophysicist Eric Keto, Loeb suggested that the simplest interpretation observed steep brightness profile is that its nucleus produces most of the light. That would also mean that its actual size is much smaller than currently thought, roughly in line with the size of the first two interstellar objects we observed, Oumuamua and Borisov.
That was complicated. Article, very complicated.
Well, he said essentially what's going on here is they're not observing a tail on the comet, and it also has light that's coming out the front end of it. So it's not really. And it's also not putting off any gas. Like it's not like scientists keep saying that it's more likely an icy comet. But it's getting closer to our solar system, closer to the sun, and it's not emitting any kind of like water vapor.
Something.
Yeah. He previously argued that it includes. So this is another part of it, is that it's really going to do a close flyby of a lot of planets in the solar system, and it seems to be kind of he thinks like a little too obvious for it to come at that exact time when it's kind of flying by Mars, flying by other planets as it kind of comes into our
like we would do when we're trying to fly by planets with satellites and cameras and stuff.
Yeah, it says here that Atlas will come within spitting distance, at least in astronomical terms, of Mars this fall, giving us a tantalizing opportunity to have a first-hand look. He suggested using NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to point its scientific instruments at the rare visitor. So we might get an answer.
Or they'll get an answer and then not tell us about it.
Yeah.
It's more likely. They just won't. Or they'll put out a picture and it's like super blurry. Like we know they got better pictures than that, but that's the one they share is like some.
Oh, like
it was taken on a flip phone in 2005. Like
the face on Mars, where it's like we have the face on Mars, and then they released a photo where I think it was AJ said on the Y files that it looked like a cat, like a picture of a cat box, like. And they have like these super high detailed pictures that you can find, but they never released it because it still looks like a face on Mars.
Yes.
So they just released one that like they intentionally doctored to make it look horrible. Yeah,
that's probably going to be what happens.
Well, AJ also said that NASA purposefully like puts a filter on Mars images that makes it look red.
Makes it look red.
Like why?
Yeah, they do all kinds of stuff like that. Well, that was a big thing recently, that he got, that I've seen the episode on, he talks about it when he goes on podcasts, and it's interesting because, he really gets into the idea of like how much NASA's lost. Like they don't have the original footage from the moon landings.
Yeah. How convenient.
And it's like, how would you not have the original footage from the moon landings? Like, wouldn't that be the one thing you made sure that
whenever something gets lost, what happened to it?
Yeah, they don't have anything. Yeah. All they have from the moon landing is a feed of a camera filming the moon landing being projected onto a wall. So when you see the moon landing, you're seeing a video recording of the projection.
It's a bootleg.
Yeah, it's like a bootleg. Yeah.
The original bootleg.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
times.
Story number 3, we'll stay kind of on the same topic, I guess. Residents report UFO descending near New York State Thruway. A person driving on the New York State Thruway recently described an Unusual object descending towards the ground. The alleged incident happened in late July, preceding the peak of the Perseid meteor shower or the recent launch of the Vulcan rocket out of Cape Canaveral, Florida. So this predates both of those things. New York, particularly the state's Hudson Valley area, has a long history with unexplained flying phenomena and other strange sightings. As stated many times, these observations of so-called UFOs can easily sometimes be explained as drones, military planes, communication satellites, or even meteors burning up in the upper atmosphere. A resident from New York State filed a report with the National Unidentified Flying Object Reporting Center, claiming they witnessed a UFO as they were driving through north on New York Thruway. The sighting happened late in the evening of July 28th. So here's one thing I wanted to bring up real quick. So you have the National Unidentified Flying Object Reporting Center. So New Fork.
Yeah.
But like, so here's one thing that I find a little disturbing with that is like we have MUFON. And I thought the whole point of MUFON was to kind of have like one place where all of these things were going through. And now we're starting to have multiple agencies.
New Fork is also pretty old.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not as familiar with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they've been around a long time too.
I just, I wonder, it's like, I like the idea of having one or two, but like, I don't want to have like all these different places because you want to be able to solidify that information. Anyway, the report says that the object came within 200 yards of the witness's vehicle and lasted for a duration of about 5 seconds. The report says that the person and their wife were driving northbound on the thruway near the exit in Newburgh. The witness says that it was dark out at the time and they noticed a bright green light descending straight down into the woods on our right. The residents say the object moved downward at around 75 miles per hour towards the ground. And then they said that the object startled them and they reportedly said, "Oh my God, did you see that?"
As you should.
They said that the object was about the size of a car. So moving 75 miles an hour straight down from the sky into the woods with a green light.
Neat.
But there's only one report of it?
It was just, an eyewitness report that happened right there late at night. I don't know if anybody else saw it or confirmed it or not.
It sounds like that would be a busy road.
So
Hudson Valley can, maybe.
MUFON was started in 1967 and New Fork was started in 1974.
Okay. Interesting. I think I've heard of the acronym before. I was just curious when I was reading the story.
I just don't think it's
something different than MUFON.
Well known as MUFON.
Plus, like MUFON's kind of having its own issues right now, I guess. So, which I've been trying to contact MUFON actually. I've been reaching out to MUFON to try to.
Maybe you need to reach out to New Fork instead.
Maybe I reach out to New Fork. Let's bring New Fork on. I've been trying to reach out to MUFON to have somebody come on to do a monthly update, Alyson, for UFO sightings. Like, what are people seeing in the skies? It's really interesting because it seems to change so much.
Yeah, it does.
Like what people see, the black triangles, the flying saucers. I know for a while it became very big, and actually my sister saw them, which are these giant orange orbs in the sky that she said came flying over her car down this dark kind of country road, and they just like came and like hovered in front of her car and then just like took off. And of course, she called me wanting to know if I had ever heard of that because I'm the UFO nut, I guess. And so, so orange orbs were a big thing for a while, but I haven't heard orange orbs anymore. So I'm just curious, like how this stuff manifests and how they are updated. And I guess it makes sense. Like if it's an intelligence that's doing this, they're going to be probably getting newer and tech as time goes along as well, I would imagine, right?
My favorite ones of more recent times are the pooping UFOs. You know what I'm talking about?
Like the ones that break into other
like
UFOs?
this is different. It'll be like a big light in the sky. And all of a sudden little lights start falling out of the bottom of it.
Oh yeah.
All over the place. It's
like a mothership. It's like like a mothership dropping drones or something.
We call them poopos.
Poopos. Poofos.
I mean, that's what they are. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting because like there's a lot of different kinds of sightings that are done, and they tend to come in waves. That was not to get completely off topic here, but that was something we were talking about the other day. Is I really got into the topic of black-eyed children too, and then I don't really hear about black-eyed children anymore. It was such a phenomena. It was happening all the time, and it was on all the
very short period of time.
So I wonder if there's been any recent sightings of black-eyed children. I would be interested too, or is that something that seems to have gone away?
I feel comfortable not ever talking about that one again, so that they don't manifest somewhere again because they're creepy.
Oh, so I just need to keep that one going? Is that what you're saying?
We should let it go.
Oh, you'll be fine.
No, thank you. Fine. I'm good. I'll take the poopos.
So, are you able to search the database? Or access it or look at it or
for New Fork?
Yeah.
Or for MUFON?
Both of them. Either.
I don't know. I don't think you have. I think you have to be a member to be able to access the data.
Probably.
I actually was looking into over the summer possibly trying to join MUFON and become an investigator, but I do the witching hours. So I need a MUFON investigator to come on the show, or a New Fork investigator, or from some other credible science-based UFO investigative.
So if you are one of those and you're listening, get in touch with us.
Yeah, come on the show, hang out, and let us know what's going on with what people are seeing in the skies. I mean, I'm not looking for anyone to report anything crazy. I just want to see what the trends are over time of like what people are seeing. And that way, if there is a big sighting, because it's going to happen. I mean, they happen throughout history. There's going to be another big sighting. And when that happens, I want to have someone to be able to see how that matches up with other things that people are saying. So anyway, that was the news.
All right. Now,
short news tonight.
It's time for the moon phases for September.
Well,
do you have good news for us?
I don't really have good news or bad news.
Okay, we'll take that.
I mean, we're still in retrograde-a-palooza.
Yes.
The good news is Mercury went direct in August, so
hooray!
Yay! So now we have Mercury, Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, which are our closest planets, and they're the ones going direct. It's all the outer planets that are retrograde at this time. So September starts eclipse season, and the interesting thing that is happening at the beginning of the month before we start eclipse season is Saturn has been retrograde since July, and Saturn has a 3-year cycle. We just ended Saturn in Pisces earlier this year and moved into Aries. Saturn moved into Aries when Neptune moved into Aries, and somebody else moved into Aries. But we had all this Aries and fire energy happening this spring. But now that Saturn is retrograde, it's going back into Pisces for a little bit. So back into that water sign and Neptune energy, subconscious energy, dreamy energy, spiritual energy. And I thought that was interesting because our first eclipse is happening in Pisces. So our full moon lunar eclipse is happening on September 7th. And I just thought it was interesting that with all of this fire energy that we've been having this year, we're having water pop back up at the end of the year. And I really feel like the eclipses in spring are a lot more intense than the ones in the fall. I don't know why that is, but it just always seems like in the spring, it's like, maybe it's because there's just so much energy happening in the spring.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like the spring has probably more energy to it than the fall does.
Yeah.
Because like the energy is like the born energy or the young energy. And like the fall to me is more like
the energy and potentiation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're also kind of used to like letting things go and releasing in the fall. So eclipses can help us to do that too, as like it brings subconscious energy to the surface, and you can let it go, or you can heal it, or you can cry about it, you can scream about it, but it's like it's getting it out instead of like keeping it all in. So this first week of September has Saturn moving back into Pisces. Mercury is changing signs also September 2nd, moving into Virgo, which it was just retrograde in Leo, which was very fiery and can be very dramatic. I mean, I had so many technological problems with the Mercury retrograde. It was just so frustrating. And that's kind of how Leo and Mercury is. It's very dramatic. It's putting on a show with like the things that are happening in your life. When Mercury moves into Virgo, it's more organized and precise and to the point. And so if you had any like big blow ups with that Mercury Leo retrograde, Mercury in Virgo is a good way to figure out how to apologize or figure out how to correct anything that you may have said wrong. And the whole month of September kind of has this Virgos fix things. We're in this Virgo sun season, the Virgo moon cycle, and fixing things, organizing things, storing things for winter, harvesting the crops, getting ready, and it's just going back to school. There's just this energy of fixing things this time of year.
Like the AC?
Hopefully, fingers crossed. So the Pisces and Virgo are opposite of each other, but they also help each other out. All of the signs that are opposite kind of balance each other out and help each other out. So our full moon lunar eclipse is happening in Pisces, which again is that Neptunian spiritual subconscious energy. Virgo helps kind of like organize those dreams and organizes those, like dreams don't really make any sense, but Virgo helps put the words to the things that you're trying to understand or trying to explain or trying to connect to spiritually. It just like brings things from the spiritual realm into the earthy realm. So that's kind of the play that we have with these. The lunar eclipse is happening September 7th in Pisces, and then the Virgo solar eclipse will be at the end of the month in Virgo. I said that all right.
Wow.
So this first week has Uranus going retrograde as well. And again, Uranus changed signs earlier this year too. So it's like Saturn, kind of, we dipped our toe into Pisces, or we dipped our toe into Aries. Now we're going back into Pisces. Uranus is dipped their toe into Gemini and now is going back into Taurus. So we kind of had this understanding of what Uranus and Gemini might feel like, but then we get to retreat back to our comfort zone, our safe zone in Taurus, and before it'll move forward again later this year. So that leaves us with Pluto, Neptune, Saturn, Chiron, and Uranus retrograde for the month of September while we're having eclipse season. The week of September 21st, or the week of September 15th through the 21st, Mercury moves into Libra, which brings in that energy of balance, peace and balance. Virgo helps us to focus on the things that we need to change and organize within our life. And Libra helps us kind of expand to everything else that we may have neglected. Virgo's very focused, and Libra is like, how do we juggle two things? It like takes one and adds two. And it's like, how do we structure this? How do we organize this? How do we balance this out and make it fair? Again, Mercury being in Libra has that energy of like, if you had a big blow up with the Mercury retrograde in Leo, something that was big and dramatic, Libra brings in the peace, helps settle things, helps solve the problem and find a compromise, find a solution. And so the beginning of this month is fixing things, organizing things, and the end of this month is Libra energy and finding balance and finding how you're readjusting to the change of your schedule because the school year started, or how you're getting ready for fall, how you're getting ready for winter. And this month, while things might be shifting and changing, it's also helping you to find like balance and solutions and harmony to the changes that you've made this year.
That doesn't sound bad.
The solar eclipse in Virgo is happening September 21st. And I don't know, like I said, like the eclipses in the spring just feel so much more chaotic and crazy than they do here. I think a Virgo eclipse can just help you figure out the things that you need to organize in your life, what needs to be fixed, what needs to be solved. And Virgo is also kind of like those day-to-day things that you do regularly, like your daily routine, that helps you sustain and maintain productivity and just keeping up with the things in your life that you need to keep up with. Virgo kind of helps you find what keeps you going, what helps sustain you. So I don't know. I think people freak out about eclipses, but I think it can really just help you figure out the things that you need to figure out.
That sounds good to me.
Especially with Virgo. Like Virgo just wants to help.
I need some figuring out.
Yeah.
Help me figure it out, Virgo. Let's go.
Find a solution, find an answer. Then the last week, Mars moves into Scorpio, which kicks off spooky season. Libra was helping us. Libra brings that, like, the beautiful colors of fall. Everything's changing and transforming, and it looks beautiful, and it's ruled by Venus, so it's aesthetically pleasing and appreciates beauty. But then Scorpio brings in that the dead leaves and the transformation and things letting go, and things might not be what they seem, and some spooky things lurking in the shadows and beyond the veil. So Mars is the first one to move into Scorpio, even though we're still hanging out, and the sun is in Libra on the same day too. So it's kind of like, you know, when you go to Michael's or wherever, whoever has like the big Halloween display, there's always like the pumpkins and the fall leaves and all the pretty Halloween decorations, and then there's like the spooky, scary skeleton witches. I don't know, like all the Halloween stuff. That's like the difference between Libra and Scorpio. Libra is beautiful. Look at all these beautiful colors, and then Scorpio's like, ooh, look over here in the shadows.
Yes, at Sam's Club yesterday, the end cap had mushrooms, pumpkins, etc., and on the main shelf was a like 10-foot tall witch that could move around and cackle at you. So Scorpio was going strong in Sam's Club yesterday.
Yeah, it's like those mushrooms and the squirrels and the woodland creatures, and everything's all cutesy, and then they're spooky. So yeah, the big things to look for this month, there's the full moon in Pisces is happening September 7th, and the lunar eclipse, and then September 21st, we're having our solar eclipse in Virgo.
Is that on the same day as the fall equinox?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Does that happen every year and I'm not aware of it, or is that unusual?
The new moons and full moons kind of gradually rotate through the entire month. But the sun moving into Libra on the 21st that happens every year.
That's
the sun changes signs on the equinoxes, but not the moon. Not always the moon.
Pretty significant. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was a lot.
No, that was good.
I didn't realize how much it was.
That was I'm feeling all right about September.
It feels like we have a lot of opportunities to communicate things clearly and say what you mean and mean what you say.
I always appreciate that.
Yeah. I think we all need good communication. That's like what we're lacking in humanity, I think.
Absolutely.
Communicate clearly.
All right. Well, thank you, Alyson,
Wonderful.
for September's
welcome.
moon
Thank you.
update.
If you are watching the show or hanging out with us now, then you already know Medium Jenny Lee. But did you know you can book a private session, explore her spiritual services, or check out her latest content all in one place? Head over to mediumjennylee.com. Whether you're seeking guidance, answers from beyond, or just curious about what the spirit world has to say, Jenny offers personal readings, mentorship, and more. Don't miss your chance to connect directly. Visit mediumjennylee.com and take the next step on your spiritual journey. Your journey to the weird is just a click away.
And now we're going to be opening the open lines. If
Open
you have
lines.
something that you would like to come on to talk about,
Come say hi.
come say hello. We already have our first open liner. This will be the second time we've had someone come on. The first time was CMC, and this time it's Linguizt, who apparently has a piano.
No, it's actually not.
I know, it's just the background.
Well, hi everybody. How are
Welcome
you guys?
in, Linguizt.
Welcome
How
in,
are
Linguizt.
Thank you. I'm doing
By the-
fantastic.
Good.
By the way, before we get started, I have been jamming to our new song. So
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
I kind of missed out on it. Like, got in right after it. Like,
Oh,
right
boo.
after.
Yeah, that's the only
Fantastic.
problem with that's the only problem with having it be like the starting soon music is like a lot of people don't get to hear it when it first bumps on. But I'll put it in some other stuff, so we'll hear it.
Hell yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yes.
It's so good. I love it.
For those of you who don't know, Linguizt is the person who wrote the music for the intro song that comes on with the intro video, but recently has also created the
Yeah.
pre start of the show song as well, which we are very thankful for.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
glad you guys
and-
are doing it.
Yeah, because it comes down to like this little for people who aren't aware. I know a lot of people are, but like people will copyright strike just a copyright strike. Like it's not even their music. But people like if you're a creator, they'll just copyright strike any music that you play. So it's important. Like so, we decided that me and Linguizt were going to work on stuff that way. All the music that you hear in the witching hours is all Linguizt music, and like we work together to make it that way. If anyone tries to copyright strike us, we can just be like,
Nope.
Actually, I don't know. I'll countersue or something. I don't know. So
Counter
I
strike.
don't have to worry about that anymore. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So what did you have anything specific you wanted to start off talking about tonight, Linguizt?
Yeah, I had actually a few things, but like Alyson talking about the moon kind of inspired me because like, you know, what I've been doing sometimes is like directly setting the intention to work with the moon energy. I don't know if that's what you do, Alyson, to ask it for like guidance, to have a catalyst as an experience, to actually reflect back to you what it is that you're working through so that you can release whatever it is that's not serving you. Because it helped me a lot. It just kind of brought in some thoughts and whatnot. And then like the energy I felt like was either anxiety or something so that I could feel it and become aware of what it is that was unconscious. So that was helpful. So I don't know what kind of rituals you do if you do, but that's something that I found helpful for myself.
Well,
like I would write it down.
I find that like the moon represents our emotions and the things that are kind of subconscious and below the surface. So I find that it helps if you do communicate with it in that way, that it brings things to the surface.
Right.
Like the sun is everything that's already out there that we can see. The moon is the things that are more hidden or deep within.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, the way that you set the intention to ask for the things that were hidden. Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting that it actually brought it in so quickly, and I did it on the full moon. It just felt like the energy would be pretty intense for something intense to come up, and then you're like staring it in the face, you know? So that was pretty cool.
So for those people who are listening that might not know, can you describe the word catalyst in the way that you are explaining it?
So it's basically anything, as Ross said, it's anything that assaults your senses, basically. Anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, anything that bothers you. As long as you have a reaction to it, it's a catalyst. So it'll propel you for growth, essentially. Because if you're neutral about it, it's not going to actually affect you. So as Ra was saying, that sometimes a catalyst is designed for you specifically for a specific chakra, for example, for throat chakra, for you to communicate, but you can completely ignore it. So if you're just remaining neutral and not paying attention to it, it's going to fail in its design. But if you have a reaction to something that's happening that's completely neutral, it becomes a catalyst, and it will repeat in your life until you accept it and love it. So, yeah.
So kind of a catalyst in terms of like it's something meant to force a reaction.
Yeah, anything
like
that can create a reaction. Yep. And that it becomes, it's like, that's what the creator knows to give you more of. Basically, the universe will be sending more of that thing to you so that you can work with it. And as soon as you release the reaction, that's when the lesson is learned.
And these could be good things or bad things, right?
Yeah. Yep. There are positive and negative catalysts.
Because Casey used the word trigger, which I think for most people at this point, we think of like a trigger as not just something bad, but like something that's really bad, like that sets off like something that's highly charged, like more than we would like it to be. But it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that bad, does it, Linguizt?
I mean, it depends on your intention. It depends on your emotional response.
Yeah.
So the more intense your response, it's like the pushback. If your reaction is more intense, you're gonna get that same pushback. So if you have a slight reaction, the pushback is just as equal. So that comes down to physics already. How did it go? Like an equal opposite reaction, something Newton.
So if somebody's having one of those triggers that is pretty bad, and really it's put in your path to work as a catalyst to be the potential for you to have some sort of growth.
Yeah.
What's the best way for somebody to work through that so that maybe the next time it isn't so bad, or to like you said, eventually like not have to have that reaction at all?
It's the understanding, primarily becoming aware of why it's there, and then that it's there for a reason. So the importance lies in not invalidating the experience. As soon as you not invalidate it, you kind of become equal with it. Because as soon as you think that the thing that's opposing you is stronger than you, you feel like you have to push against it stronger too. So it can be anger or whatever, because you feel like it's against you, right? But if you feel like it's actually not against you, but in your favor, you start kind of simmer down.
Simmer down now.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of see through the illusion of the experience and kind of begin to understand why it's there. And so you don't have that same reaction, but the experience may repeat itself to see if you're going to react in the same way. But if you just set the intention to understand why it's there, it'll help a lot. And it's interesting because like in the personal reading that we had, Ra was explaining to me the whole system of how you can use the catalyst in the most efficient way. And so they gave like a list of the structure to follow, or the structure of like the efficiency of using the catalyst. And so they said the first thing is awareness. And awareness of what? Of the distortion that is there. So because if you have a reaction, that means you have a distortion towards that thing. Because Bashar was explaining that everything is completely neutral. Everything is just a backdrop. But if you're having a reaction, that means that there is a belief within you that says that there is something wrong with whatever it is that you're seeing, And so then the next step is desire, and desire to release the distortion, to understand the distortion. Then after that, you have a sense of potentiation. So once you get that desire going, then you start asking for the experience so that you release that emotional reaction and kind of restructure it in your chakra system, because the catalyst gets seated in a specific chakra. So if it's in a survival level, then it's in the root chakra. If it's, for example, between you and another person, like in control or something like that, then it's in your sacral chakra. If it's with a group of people, then it would be in your solar plexus, and so on and so forth, But it really depends on where it's at, is how you can work through it. And so
Chico
then you
has a question.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a real life example?
Oh, a real life example. Sure. For example. And
I
I'll
knew
start
you
with
do.
So as an example, and it's actually a very deep thing that I have going on that I'm releasing right now. And we kind of had a slight conversation with you in personal reading about it, but I didn't really know what the problem was until very recently, as I started releasing the energy. But it's in the root chakra, and it's related to anger. So, for example, I would type out something on Facebook, like set a post, and some people kind of like it and they find it helpful, but someone would say that there is something wrong with it. And because I have like this child wound, when someone was telling me that there is something wrong with what I'm doing, I have anger come up because it makes me feel like I am not loved and I need to do better. So when the person commented on my post saying that there was something wrong with it and that you shouldn't do it, to kind of like don't follow this advice, I had anger come up. But it was on the unconscious level because I already kind of internalized someone else's voice in childhood telling me that I shouldn't be doing this or that, or this is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's in my root chakra. So that's where the catalyst is seated. And so now that I'm aware of this distortion, I have a desire to release it. And so now, because I'm aware of it, it becomes potentiated. So as I unconsciously have the excitement to go and type out something in service to others, I have someone come in and trigger me so that I can become aware of the distortion. So as I become aware of it, and that was the introduction of catalyst. So that's the catalyst itself, is the trigger so that I can understand how to work through it and that it's there to begin with. So then the next step is emotional response. So if you have a negative emotional response, then you can see that there is a distortion to begin with, right? And then you can take action. So that's the last step that Ra described, is taking action. How are you going to respond? So if you're unconscious about what's happening, you kind of want to push back, right? You want to tell the person, hey, like, no, we don't want to talk about it that way. I'm not like trying to do something wrong over here, or that my information is wrong. It's either for you or it's not, right? So it's like, take it how you want it. So then you take action based on your understanding of why or how you can deal with the catalyst. So are you going to respond based on your emotional reaction, or are you going to pause and think about it and see, oh, okay, I'm angry right now. Do I need to lash out on that person, right? Just because I heard something in childhood that someone said there was something wrong. Now I have this person telling me the same thing. Do I have to respond as I did in childhood and feeling the same way? But if I understand that it's just coming my way to help me, that I don't have to respond that way. I can just either not tell the person anything, and just kind of like let them have their own opinion. I don't have to respond to it at all. Or I can just say that, they don't have to feel like I'm trying to offend anybody, or it's just something that I feel like worth sharing if someone is interested, So it's really up to you how you want to deal with the catalyst. But if you have a loving response, that's the best way to deal with catalyst.
So in your description there, you use the word distortion a few times. Will you explain that in the way that you are thinking about that?
So to me, how I understand it, it's a misalignment from your higher self. Your higher self would see it through the eyes of unconditional love. Source would see it through the eyes of unconditional love. Source would just smile at it and basically not have a reaction, because Source knows that it's the other person. So it's just an aspect of it. So there is no like need for argument or anything like that. It's just an understanding that everybody has free will and they can choose whatever they want, but there is no need to really argue about anything. It's like this absolute and utter acceptance of the other self, as Ra would put it, without the need to prove your point, you know? So it's like, I don't need to prove my point. If I know that I am unconditionally loved by Source, I don't even need to say anything, really. I don't need to prove my point, you know?
Mhm.
And so that could be my action. I could just say to myself, I am loved. I am accepted by Source unconditionally. I don't need to prove my point. I don't need to take action on this in the way that someone else might have, you know? I can just accept it within myself and say, I did a good job. I just wanted to share because it may be helpful to someone else, whoever is looking for this kind of information. But you can't really satisfy everybody, you know, or please everybody.
Yep.
You know, there will always be someone who thinks something else, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
So that was the catalyst for me, is to see how I'm going to respond. If I were to respond with anger, then I would still have a perpetuation of the same experience over and over and over again, until I would say to myself, I don't need to do this. I don't need to perpetuate this. I can just say, this is okay. This is totally acceptable. This person has their opinion, and that's totally cool. I love it. I can just love it unconditionally and finish with that. And I would find relief, and then the catalyst would start moving from my root chakra into my sacral chakra. So then I would see this catalyst on a more personal level between myself and the other person, and not like on a survival level, because I've sort of processed it. Now I'm not afraid of the other person being sort of more powerful than me and kind of triggering that survival mechanism. Now I can see how does it, how am I looking at myself and the other person with this situation that is going on? Like, how am I in regard to them? How are they in regard to me? You know,
So in some ways, it's like finding those patterns in your life that started from something, and then trying to figure out the best way to be healthier and happier about those things.
Yes, and the most helpful thing that's been to me working through Catalyst or any kind of situation really is setting the intention to see it through the eyes of love, to accept it. And I would say it to myself out loud. I would think it in my mind. I would write it down, and I would really, really focus on that idea so that I can release it. Because then as soon as it comes around again, then I know my intention is that, and I just focus so strongly on that intention because I'm already aware that, oh, this is repeating. This has already happened before. I can just pause right now and not have any reaction and just see how it turns out, and then just set my intention in the mind, and then again say it to myself or write it down and just kind of breathe through it and not have a reaction. But if you still have a reaction, even though you're understanding what the problem is, then you just have a belief about that thing that's pretty strong, that's instructing your body to react in that way. So you have to release the emotion in order to completely release the catalyst. Because if you still have an emotion attached to the experience, then you haven't dealt with the catalyst.
I'm starting to see that and understand it more in some things in my life too, like things that were very triggering. That once I realized what it was and I started dealing with it, that it's hardly ever triggering anymore.
Yeah. So that means you've been working through it. So that means it's been moving up the chakra system.
Yeah.
And until it goes into the indigo. So once you're in the heart, you kind of see how is it on the level of love, universal love, unconditional love for everybody. Like, can I love this unconditionally, regardless of what the
I don't know if I'm there yet, Linguizt.
Right?
I might still be in the solar plexus with that one. Okay, so another thing. All right, so this is a huge question, but it needs an answer for those people that are listening that have no clue what you're talking about.
Yes.
So you've said the name Ra many times.
Oh yeah.
And many people are probably, if they're not familiar, are probably automatically thinking of the Egyptian god in some sort of consensus way. Because really, we could spend the rest of the podcast explaining it, Rise.
Right.
In some sort of condensed way, could you explain the Ra that you're talking about?
Yes. So in a sense, it's like a collective. They call themselves Ra. They're from 6th density, so we're in 3rd density. They're in 6th density. They used to live on planet Venus 2 billion years ago, and then they graduated from there, and so now they're guiding humanity by sharing the messages of the Law of One. Basically, they call themselves humble messengers of the Law of One, and so they just come through channels. Correctly tuned channels to share the messages so that there is least distortion possible. But they were in Egypt communicating in the same way, and their messages got distorted. And so now they're sort of rectifying what happened in Egypt and just kind of slowly sharing the messages whenever there is a call for their help.
So connection to Egypt, but not necessarily the Egyptian god.
Yes.
So I haven't read the text. I haven't read any of the books. So I'm curious. Do they go? Is there a whole part where they go into ancient Egypt, or is that just mentioned in passing?
They did come. I think it was like 11,000 years ago. They physically came there as golden light beings, and so everybody there thought they were gods. And so they said that whenever they uttered words, for every word there were 30 distortions, like misunderstandings for what they were saying. And so that's why whatever they were teaching got distorted pretty good, because there was this still power dynamic and service to self, like wanting everything for yourself, like this greediness, thinking that, this hierarchy and stuff, that I'm over you kind of thing. And so because they saw that was happening, they decided to withdraw and not do that again. And now they're just sharing the messages through channels, like Jenny, for example.
So that could have been like a way that was done, like essentially like having a pharaoh could have been a result of that. And I guess the thing that I wanted to ask about too is that there was Ra, obviously, who's a prominent Egyptian god.
Yeah.
But were there other of these that also were from the same collective that ended up being other Egyptian gods as well, or was it only Ra?
I think it was just Ra that was specifically like the actual energy that came through, and I think everything else might have been just made up. I never heard anyone else mentioning that there is a possibility. I know that there are some.
They mentioned that there was a different collective that came to South and Central America at a different time, but it wasn't them.
Right. Yeah, so it wasn't Egyptian gods. It might have been some other gods in their culture over there. So who knows, really? So, but I wouldn't be surprised if we had lifetimes there too. No.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, welcome to the Weird Team Weird.
Yeah. If you're just joining us.
If you're just joining us, and you're like, "What the hell?"
Yeah. I think it's important to understand how to work through any experience, because if you're just running in a loop and you don't really understand why you're running in a loop and why certain things are happening to you over and over and over again, it's because you have a belief that's telling you in the mind, through the mind, in the body, to react a certain way, that there is something unsafe about this thing. But that's just a belief. If you can become aware, like awareness is the key. If you can become aware of why something is repeating, what it is trying to show you, then you can release it. But unless you become aware, it's just going to be repeating. So that's where kind of shadow work comes in, I would say,
Which I think most people can probably look at their lives and be like, yes, this thing keeps happening over and over again. I think everybody's got some of that, right? Another name you mentioned that people might not know about is Bashar. Who is that?
Oh, it's a friend, an ET friend from a planet called Sasani and their collective called Asasani. So he's been channeled through Daryl by I think the last 40 years, which kind of blows me away, to be honest
Wow.
with you. This kind of dedication to channeling and so much information has been spread around. But
Yeah.
he talks extensively, I would say, on the belief systems and how to let them go. And so the one thing that he mentioned is like the end result of letting them go is to become aware of them. And so he's like a first contact specialist that decided to work with Earth. And it's funny because he mentioned that we are like their ancestors, and that's why they're really wanting to help us, is because they're our parallel version, of planet Earth, but it's called Sasani. It's sort of a similar thing, really.
Sounds like they got their stuff together, though.
They did, and so he explained that they don't have negative emotional reactions anymore, and because they understand how it works and how they got united. It was in 3 days. Can you imagine the shock they had?
3 days. Holy moly!
3
We had
days.
like
He said it was so
200,000 years or something.
Yep. He said it was so
Wow.
shocking to them. All of a sudden, like bam, and they're one. It was insane. But they function on pure synchronicity. They know exactly what they need to know, when they need to know it. And they come across whoever they need to come across. They know that it's all pure synchronicity because they're so in alignment and understand that by following their excitement, they will always be exactly where they need to be, with who they need to be, and they will always know something that they need to know, not a second later and not a second earlier. So they always function like that, and they have absolutely no memory in their society.
A memory.
Yep. Because they tune in to the information that they need. And I totally believe that because I have the same thing. Like, I would absolutely have no memory of something whatsoever. But as soon as someone asks me a question, I feel like I start channeling. But I would have absolutely no memory of the thing whatsoever. So that's pretty interesting. So it's like the more you are feeling into the unity, the more memories you let go of. So memories are overrated, basically, is what I'm saying. You don't really need to hold on to it because you have an association with the past. You're creating a continuity, believing that you need to hold on to the thing, but it's just relevant information. You always have access to it when you're in alignment with it.
Well, it's also kind of like an idea of like, so I'm a pretty nostalgic person. I think, I don't know, I feel like, especially once you get to a certain age, it kind of happens naturally anyway. But I think I've always kind of been nostalgic, even when I was younger. Yeah. And I've come to realize that as much joy as nostalgia can bring me, it's not always necessarily healthy either. Like the idea of living in the past. And I think that, that can be its own pitfall. So I could see to a certain degree, this idea of kind of letting memory in the past go could definitely have benefits in terms of like not being attached to things that aren't happening anymore.
I have a really good example of that. The fact that most people hold on to so much stuff, physical items, just because it has a nostalgic memory attached to it. Right. But you don't use it. And like it sits in a box in the attic or a basement or a closet, but like you can't let go of it, even though you probably look at it once every 10 years. So like, that's a real good example.
Yeah. Well, and you see, you create a continuity because you believe that you have to. And that's what creates our experience, really. Like, that's why we're here, is to experience this linear perspective of time, which actually isn't true, really. But the illusion of it makes it seem so real, that you go into the past and you go into the future and you have all this imagination going about all these things that happened. But it's funny that Bashar said that we create our past from the present. So how you are right now is how you're creating your past, not the other way around. And I totally believe that because I've been able to change my past by going into my past memories and shifting the end result of it.
Oh God, tell us about that. Tell us
what I
more.
would do, yeah. So it's interesting because an entity came through in not a personal reading. I think it was on Twitch. You were streaming, and one entity told me through you that you can rewrite your past by visualizing a different outcome, and that would change the energy. And that's what basically Bashar was talking about. And then I read it in the quote material, like the raw material, kind of a different kind, but a similar thing, that you can go into a meditation and you can sit down and visualize the outcome that is triggering like an emotional response in you, right? You visualize that in as much detail as you can, to the degree that it amplifies the emotion so much that you're really feeling it. And what you do, you then imagine a whole different outcome, like the opposite outcome, so that that emotion comes in and balances out the negative emotion. And it's been working so great for me. And I would focus on that different outcome, and I don't remember the other outcome. I just don't. I just remember it how it was because I have a new emotion attached to it.
Wow.
So the old emotion was released. There is no memory in it anymore to sort of have my ego attached to it and kind of like play the program. It doesn't do that anymore because I have a different outcome. So I rewrote the history basically.
Okay.
You know, and you can do that with any memory, really.
So maybe I missed it, or maybe you said it and I missed it, but is that through meditation?
Yes, you can do that in meditation.
Okay.
So it would be the most efficient way to do it. I do it on the go because for some reason it's easier for me to visualize with my eyes open all of a sudden. So I would just imagine something and then just flip the script completely, look at it from a different perspective, as if whatever I'm imagining is what actually happened. That I set that intention to see it that way. And then that kind of fills the mind, and then the body feels relief. And so it releases that attached emotion because I'm telling myself, like, this is what happened, not that. This is what happened. This is what I want to have happened. And so I focus on that idea, and then the rest doesn't matter anymore because I'm not focusing on it. So you are the creator because of your focus. If you focus on the outcome that you perceived, you know, you still created a perception through your lenses. It's not necessarily what actually happened as objective reality or objective outcome. You still chose that perception that created the outcome. So you can choose a different perception and you will have a different outcome, basically.
I got it. There's like a million things running through my head.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at that from someone who maybe would be one of those haters on Facebook.
Yes.
So like, what if someone is feeling like if they did that, that like they're worried that it would result in them, like, I don't know how to explain this. So let's just say, for example, their bad experience was someone who hurt them mentally, emotionally, or physically. And then they go back and like thinking about going back and changing the outcome of their perception of it might result in them making it a bad choice that leads them into a similar situation. What would you say to somebody who's worried about something like that?
So what would help is to think of it as, first of all, that person that did the hurt, for example, did it through their own misalignment and distortion, through their own belief system. It has nothing to do with you. So I would look at it that way. It has nothing to do with me. The person got upset because they had their own belief that there was something wrong with whatever I did. But that doesn't say anything about me. It doesn't say that I'm unworthy of love. It doesn't say that I'm not good enough. It doesn't say that there was something wrong with anything. So you start sort of separating yourself from that idea. None of that says anything about you. So that has nothing to do with you. So that's how you can look at it, that person had their own trigger based on their own belief system that they haven't processed as a catalyst for them in their reality. And they potentially lashed out on you thinking that they needed to do it, but that was just their perception.
I see.
So you can find forgiveness for that person because that person was most likely acting out of ego, because source energy would never do that.
Yeah.
So you can find compassion and understanding and say, oh, that had nothing to do with me. I didn't do anything wrong. That person was just having their moment and just thought, you know, whatever the energy was coming out for them, maybe it was full moon and all of a sudden their triggers were coming out and you thought you did something wrong, but you did nothing wrong, you know? So it really comes down to separating yourself from that scenario and looking at it from a higher perspective and finding compassion. And that's how you will rewrite the outcome, because you get yourself out of it. You know, it's like when you're feeling an emotion, you can't really have a higher perspective on it. But as soon as you kind of pull yourself out of it, then you can see. Once you feel better, you're like, oh, why did I even react like? Why did I even have this?
Yeah, which is
feeling, you know?
kind of the idea behind mindfulness, right? To try, try to be aware of the emotions that you're feeling.
I have a really good example about that. That's very simple. When I was 19 years old, I worked at Walmart in the pet section. And every once in a while, the store would get so busy, they would call everybody up to run the register, which I was absolutely terrified to do because I was super, super shy and didn't like talking to people. That's why I liked being in the pet section with all the fish.
Yeah, well, the whole empath thing, before you realize it's an empath thing, right?
Before you know you're empath.
Yeah.
And there was this one day, this lady came through and she had like a bazillion cans of cat food. And like I accidentally rang up one extra cat food. And the lady flipped out on me. And I like burst into tears, you know, like I'm just crying and crying. And like the next person, I'm still having to ring people up while I'm crying. And the next lady's like, it's okay, you know, But like at that point in time, I was definitely just like in that mode where you said like, I'm just thinking that it's, you know, it's my fault.
Right. Yeah. You did something. But
now as an older adult who can see the bigger perspective, when something like that happens to me now, I'm like, I do have that bigger perspective of compassion and be like, well, good Lord, like that lady must just be having a really bad day.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, or who
yeah.
knows what's happening in that woman's life right now that
Right,
she flipped out
exactly.
about a 40-cent can of cat food.
Right. Yeah,
you know?
but you see, it doesn't say anything about you at all.
No, it wasn't. It didn't have anything to do with
Exactly.
me. Yeah.
But you see,
when
if
I'm
you-
19, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But you see, if you took it that way, that there was something wrong with you, like if you were a child, if you were 5 years old, it all straight up goes into your unconscious. You don't know.
Yep.
You think there's something wrong with you. You internalize it. And then from there, you carry it for however long, you don't know. And then all these similar scenarios start manifesting in your reality because the belief is so strong. And that's one thing that I want to bring up. The reason certain things are coming around like often is because that's the strongest belief that you have active in your vibration. So whatever is active in your vibration will always be manifesting most strongly and more often. So that can show you based on what it is that you're experiencing is what's active in your vibration. And then you can start kind of shifting that. But it's interesting that you were talking about the hater, is I wanted to kind of like make a comment on that. And that was kind of the topic that I wanted to talk about, but it kind of shifted. But it's like doing the shadow work versus positive thinking. So the person that kind of commented on my post that kind of brought up the anger was saying that if you're just thinking positively all the time, you're basically stuffing the emotions down. You're not really helping yourself. I would absolutely oppose that, because that is not what I'm experiencing. And that is exactly what helped me actually get out of complete despair and disempowerment, is positive thinking. That helped me pull myself out of the experience and look at it from a higher perspective. If you're in the, let's say, if you're on the same level of the problem, you cannot see the solution. You have to get yourself out of there to have the solution. It's higher on the frequency. So whatever the person was saying kind of made me feel like I understand what she was saying, but you can't really be doing shadow work and just be deep in wounds and be miserable all the time to be able to correct anything within yourself in that sense.
Yeah.
You
Don't
have
you
to
think,
find
though,
a
that
way.
like maybe there are people that are trying to look at everything positively, but maybe they're not really. And that thing that that person was talking about is actually happening, where they're just like pretending like everything's okay, but really like they're not dealing with it. Like maybe that's the way that the person was thinking that you meant it. And like,
exactly.
they didn't understand that you were thinking about it in a completely different way.
Right, and that's where distortion comes in, right? You understand it through your lenses, and that's how you start an argument about something like that when you're not in understanding with each other. But the whole point is like there is a difference between like setting the intention to heal and still think positively, so that you're kind of allowing yourself to have a relief from that place of constant healing, and it will find you. If you have an intention to heal, whatever needs to come around will come around anyways. That's at least my experience. If I'm really vibrating high and I'm very happy, all of a sudden ego comes in and starts judging me or something. And then I'm like, okay, well,
ego.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, there is this opportunity to release this. But that's what I'm saying, is that you can focus on the positive and do that. But if you have a set intention to heal, you will work through it anyways. You'll be like questioning yourself and asking like, well, why am I feeling this way? Why am I thinking this way? Why am I behaving like this? If you have that intention, you will work through it. You will be doing the work. But if you want to stuff the emotions down with positive thinking, that's a whole different conversation,
I was just
imagining
like this really bad thing and somebody putting like a Lisa Frank sticker on it and like smush it.
Well, what's the connection here? What's the connection here with something that I've kind of witnessed lately, and maybe I'm interpreting this wrong, but something I consider to be toxic positivity? Like people, like situation where it's like people are kind of ignoring everything else that's going on and like just kind of like being falsely positive. Can that still have a positive outcome, or is that something that...
I can be an example of that. I literally ignore everything that's not positive. Like I don't see a need to focus on something that doesn't make me feel good. That's literally not why I'm here. And that's the reason why I started the healing, is because I shifted my focus from anything that was happening. Because as soon as you focus on something negative, you're at that vibration. You're feeling it. So if you don't want to be in it, you don't want to focus on it. That's literally what Abraham is saying. That's what Bashar is teaching. Like, you got to follow your excitement in order to raise your vibration, because as soon as you're focused on something that's negative, you are it.
Trust, happiness.
And there is no bottom to it. You focus on something negative, you give it a negative reaction. Soon, right after that, you find something else to complain about or feel negative about. And it's just in a loop. You don't get out of it. That's where I was 5 years ago. If you had seen me, I was absolutely negative, miserable person. If I did not start looking away from those things and working through it, I would still be there. And that would not help anyone, because I would still be on a lower frequency and I would be pulling everybody down with me. So that doesn't help anybody. But if you can shift your focus and actually say, oh, I don't need this in my life, because why would I listen to something that triggers fear in me, for example, or something that makes me feel uncomfortable? Why would I do that to myself?
Keisha said that you were gonna nope. You're gonna nope out of it.
Exactly. But you see, what's important is, like I was mentioning earlier, is not invalidating it, because it will come into your focus anyway. It's everywhere, But if this toxic positivity can be, say, you're invalidating something with positivity. You say, oh, this is not good. I would rather focus on that. So basically, it's like saying this is bad and this is good. You're still in the ego. But if you look at the negative and you say, oh, this is love, a different expression of love, I don't really need it in my experience because I would rather focus on the pure love, but I still recognize it as a valid experience, as a valid thing that exists, because that's what the creator wants to experience. I'm not judging it. I am in pure positivity. I'm not in toxic positivity. As soon as I'm judging it and say, oh, this should be different, then I'm in the ego. So that would be toxic positivity, when you're trying to push out, in a sense, with positivity, something negative, invalidating it. But if you recognize it as valid and just don't, but neutrally observe it, you know what I'm saying?
I think I would agree with that, because that's kind of what I was kind of defining as being toxic positivity, was when you're not acknowledging that there is negativity, or if you're not acknowledging, I don't know, a reality to a certain extent. Because I totally get the idea of positive thinking, and it's something that I definitely need to work on more. And I've been here, it's like something that we've discussed a lot. The power of positive thinking has had a huge effect on people I've known now for 15 or 20 years since the first time I heard of it. But, I also see, like, getting into certain areas. I'm a fixer. Like, I want to fix the problems. So a little bit, I'm a little too much of an idealist as well, which is also a problem for me. But so I see problems, I want to fix it. And then I see people around me who just are kind of like happy and pretending that problem doesn't exist. But the problem is, if everybody pretends that problem doesn't exist, when I'm not talking specifically about Jenny.
No, I'm just thinking of, like, when we both worked at the same high school together. I would just ignore all the crap that was happening and, like, try to have a good day with my students. And that's my example.
Yeah, that's not me.
You're like
I'm
wanting
trying to fix the problem.
all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I want to fix things and make them better. And sometimes that can be difficult. Not even getting into argument of saying whether or not you can stay positive through that, but just the idea that it's hard when other people are, like, really positive, and it's one thing, like you said, to be positive and to acknowledge that there's issues.
Yes.
Like, hey, this
is what I did.
This needs to be improved.
I was like, hey, this really sucks, and all these people are not doing.
And I'm not going to worry about it.
But I'm just going to do what I'm going to do.
I'm going to do what I want to do. And I get that 100%, because you almost have to make that decision.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to choose to be happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you also get the situation, Chico Kath, and I'm sorry for, bringing this up for that. But the idea that someone can act like that and then just kind of, like, just pretend that nothing around them is negative. Or not acknowledge the broken system.
Yeah.
I think
you can see it, but you observe it neutrally, and that's how that's what the creator does. The creator accepts unconditionally. The creator sees the positive and the negative polarity. The creator accepts it. It's not like the creator completely closes its eyes and doesn't know what's happening, because the creator is the one experiencing it, right? But it's not invalidating, because that's why it exists, because it's worthy of being here. It's what allows for experience, this contrast. If we didn't have contrast, we wouldn't know what we want. We wouldn't know what we didn't want. We wouldn't strive for any growth, really, because that's what's happened previously.
There wouldn't be possibilities for growth.
Exactly.
That me and Alyson talked about yesterday.
Yeah, and like Ra was saying, that's the experiment that the creator had in a previous or whatever universe, where everyone did, like, the entities that live there, whatever planets or whatever galaxies, they didn't have a veil. So they knew that everything was love, everybody was together, everything was one. And there was no growth because there was no striving at all. There was
and
no
and knowing everything too.
exactly.
Which
So the creators like, what the
us
heck?
woo-woo people get real upset when we're like, why do we have to forget everything, man? Oh, it's like,
Right, well, for that reason.
Anymore. Chico had a really good example of what we were just talking about. Chico said, I can be two things. I can be sad for the loss of my dear friend, but also grateful that I had so much shared love with that person I lost. I can grieve and be grateful.
For sure.
That does not make toxic positive, nor does it mean that I'm in denial.
Yeah, I would agree with both of those things. For sure.
That's a really
I wouldn't consider that to be toxic positivity.
No.
I think you can be positive in the face of hard things, difficult things, grief, anger, all of those things. I think you can stay positive through them. I think my definition, maybe like I just said in chat, I don't even know if I necessarily agree with that terminology. That's just like maybe like a kind of a catchphrase right now. But it's just the idea that pretending to be positive and not acknowledging what's going on around you can also not be healthy to a certain
There's a phrase that's been around a lot longer that's looking for the silver lining.
Yes. Well, no, but that's real.
Even when things are awful, there's still good things you can find.
Yes. Yeah.
And I wanted to say about this is because, you know, when you realize what you truly are, you know, you're a pure positive energy because you are the light. So when you strive to be more positive, you're basically becoming more of your authentic self.
Look how Linguizt brought the show all the way back around. We talked about the light and the beginning and the news stories about the poor little mice they're killing and losing their light. And Linguizt is swooping on in and talking about us being the light.
So even though that the poor mice had to give their life, it worked for it because we had a positive conversation about it. And we had good information that we were able to
that shows us that guess what? We are the light.
Yes. And so, and you know, the more you focus on the negativity, basically you forget that you're at the light. So you become more of the forgetfulness. And that's where all the distortions are coming from, is from the forgetting that you are the light. And that's why we have all these negative emotions, is because the forgetfulness that, oh, we are actually happiness, we are joy, we are passion, we are enthusiasm, we are all those wonderful things. But because we start buying into beliefs as a child, seeing adults coping with some things and thinking that, oh, we're going to have the same thing going on in our life, and that's what happens later, then you start living the same life your parents lived or something, until you really realize that that's not what's actually happening, and you didn't have to buy into all those things.
It ain't gotta be like that.
Exactly.
Well, that's a lot to think about. I think there were definitely some things to jump into. I did want to mention, since we brought him up, that I've been in contact with Daryl Anka's people.
Ooh.
And so you know, keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. It's something that we're working on to possibly be able to talk about that on the Witching Hours. It's something that I know that a lot of people, we'll see.
That'll be cool, man.
Gotta leave those reviews. Click that sub button. Click your alert bell. And, you know, maybe that's what we'll have going on. We can have that.
So we're down to the last 2 minutes. Alyson, will you let everybody know where they can find you?
priestessofwonderland.com. And on Priestess of Wonderland everywhere else.
Yes. Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, that stuff. And then Linguizt, you have also been putting out content and sharing all those Facebook posts that are causing a lot of controversy. Where can people find you?
Also on Facebook. I'm starting to stream more. I show up in Discord all the time. Where else do I show up?
But on Facebook, TikTok and stuff, you have a different name, correct?
Yes. I go by Aurora King. So I can leave the, I don't know if, Keisha already put the Twitch link in. So that's pretty much where you can find me.
So both of these wonderful people are Twitch streamers also.
Yeah, and I'll put those in the description down below so people can find all the wonderful things you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Chico says she wants to be a fairy in your room.
So I do want to mention next week we're going to have Rob Guttrow on.
Yay.
So we've already talked about this. I'm going to have to start getting it ready. He is going to do a couple of pet medium readings for us.
We
on
need
that show.
pictures for that. If you have a pet that has passed and you would like to possibly have a reading from Rob next week, you need to put them in the Discord server or send him an email or something so that we can get him some pictures for readings.
Yeah, so he can do the reading. I imagine we'll probably do like a spin the wheel kind of thing, but you have to have your picture in Discord.
You gotta have a picture ready.
So that he can do the reading. I think we're going to do 2 of them. So if you would like to hear from a past pet, make sure you have that ready to go for next Monday. Week after that, we're going to have Michael Schrad on. We're going to talk more about UFO crashes and recoveries.
Yay.
And then we're going to have Sandy Stroon on, psychic medium Sandy Stroon, who's going to join us, who you met at the Paracon.
Yes, I did a reading for her and she had aliens come through. We automatically became best friends.
There you go.
That's awesome.
And then we have Irene and Danica coming on to do transcribing, which that's going to be another one where you could have a chance for a reading, but you have to be willing to come on to the show.
Yes.
She wants people to be face-to-face with her to do the transcribing.
So maybe that's something. Could you explain that?
She does like automatic drawing, and then she reads the drawing to get the medium, mystic, or psychic information.
Ooh, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you would like a transcribing, maybe I'll set up 2 sections in the Discord. To put your pet pictures in and to put to sign up for transcribing to make sure we have some people, and then we'll just kind of do a spin the wheel for names, or maybe we can go in order that you sign up. I don't know. We'll find out.
So the pet one is next week, September 1st, and the transcribing is September 22nd. So depending on which one you're interested in, make sure you're available on those days at 8:00 Eastern Standard Time to 9:30 Eastern Standard Time so that you can possibly have a chance for one of those readings.
And the last call out I want to give is, I know it seems far away, but we are less than 2 months away from the spooky hours.
Yes.
And I have already put out the all call for your spooky stories. If you would like to send in a story, once again, you can email the Witching Hours podcast at Gmail, sending your spooky story. If you've been on a paranormal investigation, if you've been on lived in a house that was haunted, whatever, or visiting someone else's house, gone to somewhere and had some kind of scary story, feel free to share that with us. And I think we're also going to have some of our friends from the Witching Hours who hopefully will be sharing some of their scary stories for our Halloween special we call the Spooky Hours.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool.
Well, thank you both for joining us tonight.
Yeah,
Alyson
thank you
and
guys for having us. Heck yeah.
We went from having maybe a short show to going over, as we always do when we have our friends on. So thanks so much for jumping on here with us tonight.
Yeah, that was cool.
Thanks so much for everyone who hung out in chat tonight, too. It was great to see you all. I imagine we have a Thursday and Friday night stream coming your way this week.
Yes, I'll be painting on Thursday night, and I should have a reading stream on Friday.
Cool.
Jenny's the only one with air conditioning, so she should be ready to go with the cool wind blowing on her back, and we'll be ready to go. All right. Okay, everyone.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so much. Until next time, we will see you all next time.